Hi, fourth grade. We are looking at our story, Energy Island. Our essential question this week was, how have our energy resources changed over the years? And we'll answer that question as we go here. So as we started out, they give us the setting of Energy Island being Denmark, a very farm, the island of Samso, and there's a lot of wind that is there. And they tell us the location of that, not just Denmark, but it's an island off of in the middle of Denmark there, and it's in the middle of the sea, and that's why it's very windy. So they talked about how the Department of the Danish Ministry of Environmental and Energy, chose their place as a place of non-renewable energy source, to be independent of other places to get their electricity, or to get their energy, I should say. You have these green boxes. These green boxes give us facts about things that are outside the story. A sidebar. This has renewable energy. So it talked about how there's renewable energy, things like the wind, rivers, sunlight, plants, all that can be made into or converted into energy. And if we go, what are some examples of renewable energy? Just what I said, right? Wind, rivers, sunlight, and plants. Those all can be used for energy. Now, as the narrative goes, the class was asked what could they do to make their own energy, and they gave different options of things to do. And they also gave the benefits of using renewable resources, or non-renewable energy. What the problems were with that over here, coal, natural gas, oil, they all produce CO2, carbon dioxide. And even when we breathe out carbon dioxide. It talked about over here the problems with it, the greenhouse effect when the heat is trapped in the atmosphere, and then that can lead to or cause global warming, where the temperature changes over time, it increases. But when they're talking about how do they make a self-sufficient energy source and using renewable resources, they talk about how they're cleaner, how they save money, how they're going to bring less tankers over to the island. And that helps because it's all talking about the positive things of using renewable resources. And then we go on in the narrative here, and the kids were really excited about it, but the adults had a little convincing to do. So Soren Hermansen was the one who talked to the different people and kind of gave them some ideas about, and educated them about the whole idea of renewable resources and using them for energy. Down here it talked about global warming and the consequences of that, the idea of having the ice caps melting, the hotter summers, colder winters, bad storms, that type of thing. And just gave us more facts about global warming here. Then we went on, and it talked about how a few people made changes. So one man, Brian, was thinking small, and he decided to set up a wind turbine next to his house just for him, just a small thing, not a huge thing. But then there was Jorgen Tranberg, who decided to go big and make big turbines, invest money into it, and sell the electricity that it made. So that was those two kind of got on board with this. Well, then there was one event that happened, and do you remember what that event was that caused everybody to all of a sudden go, hey, that's not such a bad idea? And that had to do with the sudden snowstorm. And just like up here, when we have some snowstorms, the power went out. And the only one who had power going on was the man Brian, who had his wind turbine going. And so he had his windmill to make his electricity, and then he was able to have the lights on. And that made a huge impact on the community. And so the news traveled around, and suddenly everybody was installing solar panels and doing their part to have wind-powered even bicycles and or batteries, and the electric bikes the electric bikes here. I thought this was interesting. Today we have electric bicycles charged by the power of the wind. Every one of us has an energy independent story. So it caused the entire community or the entire island to get on board with this whole idea of clean or renewable energy. And here they just show that they're going up in the story to the top of the wind turbine. Talk to us over here about wind energy a little bit more, and how windmills have been, they were invented 1,000 years ago in Iran, and they used them to grind corn and pump water and that type of thing. Although today now they're used to generate electricity, and they talk about how there's stuff that needs to be evaluated before they put up a wind turbine someplace. You can't just be building them all over the place without actually looking at the community and looking at their weather patterns and where they are in relationship to the ocean or to other bodies of water. We in Traverse City do have a few of those type of wind turbines up around. And then they kind of talk to us a little bit more about how there's an academy for kids to learn more about saving energy and sharing and learning about that. And grown-ups can also come and learn. They talked about energy in the world, how people are working together to try and come up with some better sources of energy, and they're healthier for the environment. And then finally, on our last 2 pages here, they talked about saving energy, things that we can do to cut down on the energy use, and how much of a difference they made in just 10 years of their carbon emissions going down by 140% in 10 years. And that's how they got the name Energy Island. And because they had gone to a different type of energy, self-sufficient energy, they don't need to rely on the mainland. And in fact, they talked about how they now send their extra power back to the mainland with cables underground to Denmark, so that they could use that. And so the renewable resources are all around us, and that phrase "hold on to your hats" keeps coming up throughout the story, where they're literally just talking about how windy it is, and the impact that would that hold on to your hat, because the wind is going to blow it right off. So that idea of the renewable resources and using them. When we look at summarizing this, summarize how a community harnessed the power of wind. Okay, so they became an independent community using their own energy sources. We can go and talk about how they made wind turbines. Actually, I would probably say how the island was picked for the renewable energy spot, how Soren Hermansen had educated the people around, and then people made the changes to renewable resource energy as opposed to the old ways that they were using. And the minds of people were changed, right? They went from thinking that it was not such a good idea or a crazy idea to this is definitely what we should be doing, and this is a great idea. Okay, so that's your story for this week. and go back over it, look through things when you do take your test. Make sure that you use your book or your online part like this that I'm going through, where you can see your story, your vocabulary too. Look at your vocabulary that's in your book or online, and make sure you go back through those. All right. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you later.